Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Sharp's gonna let him swim! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running! All damaging! And another turn! And Expansion goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday night's broadcast of Boise State Esports Overwatch. We've got 2 great matches with the orange team and the blue team playing tonight. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer, and joining me, I've got our 2 play-by-play casters, Lisa and Paul. How are you 2 doing tonight?
Oh, we are doing so great. Well, we're going on like 3-4 days straight of casting, so
yeah,
we're feeling good, man.
Yeah. 5 cups of coffee. Let's do this.
Oh, coffee is all I need.
Yep.
It's weird to be on this side of the desk, though. I feel like I'm just slowly drifting from side to side.
But speaking of the desk, this is my first time at this new desk, so a rite of passage, I guess. I am really. It is. This is amazing.
Right? There's like there's too
so
much space on
I know,
us,
too much.
Just enough room for me to spill my drinks.
Just enough room for 4 people so that we get double interview.
Yeah,
more interview.
Definitely. So I'll start with you, Lisa. What are we looking at so far with the Orange team, and what can we expect to them as they play California State University, Sacramento?
Well, I did a little bit of digging into the Stingers here from Sacramento, and it looks, I mean, I'm assuming we're going to have a relatively fair fight on this one. This is not a school, at least that I have done a broadcast for, facing against Boise State, but we have seen nothing but good things from this orange team. Both orange and blue are the only 2 that we've seen. We've still yet to see black coming soon, eventually. Not tonight, unfortunately, but these 2 teams are starting incredibly strong.
Yeah, we did see the orange team did come off of a loss the last time we saw them.
You said that about the blue team, too, and that turned out not to be right. So
yeah.
Take everything Paul says
Every time I say
salt.
that Boise State lost, they just never did.
They're like, wait, no, what? We didn't lose?
This should be some sort of ritual. Just say they're going to lose, and then, because Paul said it, it's going to turn out the opposite.
Well, but as you can see here, we actually have Thunderhorn, who is subbed in. The rest of the team, I think, is exactly the same. So Thunderhorn, a guy that we've never seen on the broadcast before. I don't think we've ever seen one on the broadcast before.
I don't believe so.
And so, new to the Orange team. Last time, Dre Girl, it was her first match. Now we've got another new player, but this Boise State team has had more time to practice up. I'm excited to see what they pull out, because they were pretty well coordinated when they did play. And that was with just the short amount of time that they had to work with.
Exactly. The most impressive thing wasn't even necessarily, the wins or losses or anything like that. It was how quickly they were able to adapt and how quickly they were just able to communicate and work well together. So the matches started a little bit rough, and we were kind of sitting here at the desk wondering what was going through the players' minds. And it ended up working out. They locked it down. They communicated properly, and that's what we heard about in the interviews as well.
Let me say that this match has a double special meaning for me today because, of course, broadcasting for the fine institution that is Boise State University, I'm always rooting for Boise State. But it's interesting that we're playing against California State Sacramento because I have family members who went there. They called it Sac State, and so it's going to be interesting seeing who prevails, my school or my family, basically, the tough choices in life.
Sac State is a lot easier to say than California State University Sacramento, so I think we're going to stick with that. That's also what they call themselves on their Twitter, the Sac State Stingers. So we will see. Ooh, I like the color. I like the Sac State color there.
Yeah, that's right. We have full color.
That's going to be nice. That's although Boise State, I would say that's orange, although maybe slightly depressed orange. It's more yellow.
Isn't that a happy orange? Yellow is supposed to be a happy color, I think. So we are already taking a look, and now I want to make sure that we're actually on this map because last time we saw a fly-through, and it was a different map that we were setting up on.
But we are on Oasis.
Yes, we are starting on Oasis. So our information there is correct. After this, yeah, there it is. The people are alive. After this, it's going to be a choice of life, the loser, I believe.
That is right. The loser will choose the map. And oh my goodness, Omi already taking out Brady, but Brady got the return kill onto the Lucio. Pyros taking down the Ana, and that is going to be a good match for the Boise State team. They wipe the rest of the floor. Dre Girl even getting in on the action, resurrecting Brady. And wow, Boise State with a quick team wipe, and that is an assertive statement right at the start of the game.
And as always, each member, they're picking out their target and taking them down. You mentioned the res that we got, a very quick one already, and that makes 0 members of Boise State fully eliminated, giving them control here. We're going to see how Sacramento State decides to jump in because the aggression is fierce from Boise State here, but they can't really go on the defensive because they need to capture this point.
That's right, and they're going to be checking this main, but it's going to be hard to play against that far. We'll see if the McCree can grab those shots like he did in the last fight. And actually, down goes Dare Sing, down goes Thunderhorn. Pyros gets a return kill onto not a bot, but it is still a very rough fight for Boise State as they have lost one of their healers. And Omi actually bringing down Pyros. That's their main tank down. Boise State in a very rough spot. And Omi, gosh, he is really making it happen.
Oh my goodness. And McCree, a bit of the research that I did, I was seeing some of the main and absolutely.
Oh, Dare Sing taking down Giga. Wow, Dare Sing really making it happen. That's going to be a good start for the Boise State team, but they're going to have to capitalize on this quickly before the Ana responds and makes it back to the point. And Dare Sing already looking for more pop shots.
And with the attack boost there that he's getting, it looks like Brady also has the barrage available. Just have to get into an offensive position, and this might be it.
Not a bot has already taken down, but oh no, Brady going for the ultimate is going to grab 2. That's one of the healers and the main tank. That's a very hard thing to, but no, Omi turns it around, taking out Grey Girl and Brady, and now Mr. Psychofire has gone down as well. Pyros doing what he can, but gets put to sleep, and I don't know if he's going to make it out of that one. He does have a lot of health to work with. Yeah, there he goes. He's got the double jump from the ultimate coming off its timer, but that was a very good turnaround by Omi. Boise State needs to find an answer to this McCree.
Well, and we do have an Infrasight available here, which will be very helpful with taking him out, but I was mentioning that is by far his main. So definitely going to be a high priority target throughout this, especially if he sticks with this McCree and is on maps and in situations where it will be useful here.
And Daresang already starting out this fight very strongly, taking down the Lucio. That's a hard one to hit and a very important character. Now Brady taking down the Ana. There's no healers on the side of Sac State, and down goes Omi, but Nautabot getting a return kill onto Thunderhorn, but Mr. Psychofire also gets the return onto Nautabot, and Boise State has effectively taken control. It's just how quickly they can take it. How can they? There they go. They've eliminated the main tank, and that Lucio has actually come back in, but for no purpose at all because he does not have a team to support. You need a team to be a support.
And the res coming through there as well. So once more, all members of Boise State are good and healthy and sitting exactly where they want to be. We do have a couple ultimates and actually 2 support ults, a Valkyrie and a Transcendence, which with these 2 tanks and the damage as well coming from the far is basically going to make them unstoppable if they get a good jump onto Sacramento State.
Oh, but there goes the sound beat for the Sacramento State team. They're going to also drop the mech bomb. That's not going to grab anybody, but that doesn't matter. This fight has already gone in the favor of Sacramento State, and now Mr. Psychofire will just have to try and not get delayed, but that's going to be rough. Oh, Sacramento State choosing not to go after it, and that is going to be... Oh!
Yeah, they secured the objective. They actually had control.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, Boise State took a little bit of time in between there after getting that second team wipe onto them of actually reclaiming back the point. So it did not take very long for Sacramento to hop back on there. So it seemed like Boise State had an advantage, but they definitely need to keep an eye on those objectives and just how close Sacramento State is ticking towards a round win. And we see it kind of snuck past them a little bit there.
Might I say, carrying on with your trend, Paul, of saying the match turns out one way when it's turned out the other way.
Come on, man.
Well, so I was so focused on like the ultimate charge in the fight, I just had no idea what the percentages were.
And it was a great fight as well from Sacramento State. We saw that the 2 players getting the most eliminations there, Ami and Psycho, Ami and Giga, sorry, both had their ultimates available after that fight. And they were 2 major ones, and a great jump in already. Fantastic is going to take down 2. Psycho is going to take 2 for his name. Ana is getting an assist on every single one of these eliminations. Fantastic, taking down the opposing Zarya. Mr. Psychofire is solo here, but still able to do quite a bit of damage and stay alive. Not for long, however, Nautabot says, get out of here. Mr. Psychofire was playing a little risky, sitting right with the opponents in that situation.
And I think they were trying to actually delay him there. Keep him alive as long as possible.
Drawing attention to old charge, 1 engagement, and already Psycho on the side of Sac State already has his ultimate ready to go.
And that Reinhardt is very low and cannot be healed due to the Ana grenade. But oh, there it goes. Nautabot finally finishing off Pyros. Boise State in a rough spot. Brady trying to fill up his ultimate and do some damage, but Boise State does not have a main tank to hide behind. And oh, speaking of not having a main tank to hide behind, Omi using his ultimate, only grabbing 1. And I think Boise State is going to come out of that feeling a little bit all right because they did draw out the McCree ultimate at least.
They did draw it out, but you can see throughout that entire fight, if you were keeping an eye on the Sacramento State players' health bars, they were not going down a bit. And Boise State was trying to do a little bit of kiting, backing off and dealing damage. They were only receiving damage. They weren't dealing any. In that situation, should have just turned tail at that point, waiting for the tank. Now they're going to try to engage, but Pyros is taking so much damage right off the bat. He's not able to do his job in tank here. Grey Girl attempting to use the Coalescence, and I think it actually disappeared there.
And it looks like the Coalescent got stunned out or something, but Thunderhorn is actually making lots of plays here. Daresang takes down 2. That fight did not look good for Boise State, but they turned it around. And they're going to have to grab this McCree. McCree, of course, such a strong player. This Omi guy, really good at turning around fights for that Sacramento State team. And now that he's the last one to go down, the whole team's going to have to wait for him.
And he's actually coming back as Reaper. So the McCree was working for him, apparently not as well as he would like. Pyros is now doing a great job of taking the aggression from the opposing team, and now he has an Earth Shatter available. Will he send it down? He does not need to yet because Pyros, Thunderhorn, Daresang, and Pyros again making names for themselves, taking out every single member there of Sacramento State. Full control now, and looks like Boise State will be able to tie up the control on that point.
And oh, he's going for the Assassin Heart play with his Earth Shatter available. Will they see it coming? It does not seem that way. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, he only grabs 2, but that's going to be a 1 fight for them because that is the Reinhardt on the other side. That is going to be a kill picked up on Brady. Daresang is going to return the favor onto the Lucio. Daresang really taking down the enemy team
and
here.
A rally going on right now as well to maintain everyone. We have 3 still ultimates available, including Mr. Psychofire's self-destruct, which can be devastating, especially on this map, because it tends to be a full team-on-team, unless you see a sneaky play like we just saw from Pyros.
And it will be interesting to see what ultimates go through in this fight. Everybody has very large amounts of charge, lots of ultimates ready to go. There goes the Earth, or the Graviton, paired with the Justice rating from above. That's going to be 3 dead from Boise State, and I don't think they're going to be able to turn it around on that one. Mr. Psychofire also going down, and I think that Mr. Psychofire dropped his ultimate into that fight too.
I think 4 ultimates were dropped from Boise State, and none of them were able to capitalize on anything really. Daresang was the one to initiate that with a rally at the end of that fight. So we'll see if Boise can turn it around, because they are sitting at 94%. But Sacramento State is very high up there. The healing needs to stay on Pyros. He needs to be able to get the initial aggression on this team. Otherwise, they have full control.
And oh, that does not look good for Boise State. I don't think they're going to be making it out of this fight. And yep, there goes.
Double pin was pretty flashy.
Brady picks up an elimination on the back end there. I wonder if Boise State will be able to, they probably won't be able to make anything happen there.
No, because he was immediately taken out by the Lucio, so all was not for naught, but it is going to go in favor of Sacramento State there. We can see the swap to the Wrecking Ball at the end to just try to get to the point.
But like a battle cry against all hope, we will remember the charge against the Zarya. Just a last big hurrah from Boise State. Let's take a look at the play of the game. Psycho as Reinhardt here.
Oh, yeah.
And I love this because it almost seems like a clown car, these 12 people piling into this small room, and then all heck breaks loose. But getting in there, just going full steam ahead with that hammer.
Not
amazing.
even an ultimate used there. Yeah, just basically lined everybody up against a wall and was able to smash away. And there, the Psycho on the Reinhardt was a lot more effective than we're seeing Pyros. And Pyros, we know, is very, very impressive with his Reinhardt play, but he was just getting melted down so quickly, even through his shield. They weren't even removing the shield. They were just trying to target around it, and they were able to make that work. So Boise State didn't really have a chance without being able to get more than 10 seconds, 5 seconds into a fight with Pyros staying alive.
And I felt like almost every time that the shield went down to maybe drop a flame strike, almost every time an Alna grenade went through, and that eliminated all the healing for Boise State, and that was when Pyros went down.
Well, no oasis for Boise State, more like a barren desert of defeat. But as we traverse through that barren desert, we will stay forward with resolved. And one of the best ways that I think that you can recover in this scenario is really reminding yourself why we're here supporting esports. So while we're between these two maps, let's go to a short video onto why we're here in the first place with esports.
Since 2016, universities have been adding varsity esports, competitive intercollegiate video game teams, with nearly 100 colleges and universities now with official programs. Esports is fast becoming the new college sport. But with any dramatic change comes criticism. How could institutions of higher learning promote something so trivial? But when you look a little closer, esports demonstrates, just like other sports, that it's a pathway to something more.
There's several misconceptions when it comes to esports and its place on the university campus. The first and foremost is that people would say it's not a valuable learning activity. It's not a place where people can learn new job-related skills or maybe get a good industry feel for what's happening outside the university environment. And that's just simply not the case. And all evidence points otherwise. There are so many new jobs. The industry is absolutely booming. People are looking for students that are graduating with experience in things like streaming and technologies, marketing, the whole business side, sponsorships. There's the whole graphics and coding component that involved in esports and other video game type of activities that are really important just in terms of jobs and industry.
And on their way to those careers, students who attend schools with varsity esports programs can compete for their university. But in order to be eligible, students have to meet the same high academic standards as other student athletes.
You have to maintain a certain GPA. You shouldn't be playing constantly. You should have like a certain time frame and like practice for like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. You shouldn't be just like overwhelming yourself.
Care about your grades first and foremost. As Dr. Haskell said, he cares about our grades first because we came to college to get an education, to get a degree, and then we also get to do what we love and play esports.
Athletics and other university-sanctioned activities bind students together with purpose, a chance to be part of something bigger than yourself, where we learn to work hard, play a role, lose with dignity, win with honor, all for our school. This is why we play.
Oh, what an amazing video. I could watch that over and over just myself. But let's get back to Boise State Orange playing against California State University, Sacramento, or Sac State as we're calling it right now. So a loss there first on Oasis. What are we looking forward to as we go into the next map here?
Well, first off, I'm looking forward to potentially a little less of that McCree. That was the perfect map. Yeah, the Adam sticker. I love it, showing that guy off. So less of that McCree potentially based on the map, and it is depending on where we're starting on this one and which side they're starting on, there's less utility from the McCree because a lot more open spaces. Oasis is just perfect for him because you come around a corner, stun whoever you want. A little bit more difficult for the Deadeye, but he was able to make it work even then, so I'd be even more scared of him here. And the Reaper did not go nearly as well for him, and I kind of saw that was definitely a secondary choice for him. So, you know, maybe that is his one factor that makes him as good as he is. So potentially removing the McCree could be the bane of his existence. Fingers crossed there for Boise State.
And I would actually really want to see a dive composition because McCree is one of those heroes that can't really get away from the dive composition, and it's really incumbent on his team to protect him when the Boise State team goes in. So you require of the enemy team more coordination, and you kind of put that challenge out there. Can you fight together like we do? And it'll be interesting to see. And the other thing that I want to see, well, I guess if we do see a Reinhardt, I want to see the shield stay up more and not even bothering to drop it for the Flame Strike, because every time that went down, it was disastrous for Boise State, even if it was just for a moment.
I don't even want to see, I was going to say, I don't even want to see the Reinhardt. I want to see Pyros on the Winston, not only for the mobility in this map, but all of the vantage points. Reinhardt is just not going to get where he needs to in time. And also, I just love Pyros on Winston. He plays an incredible one. We are already getting started with the action. Our supports are taking a little bit of damage, but Psycho took enough that we backed him away, and already Solar Space is going to be taking down Karina. Fantastic. It's a back and forth. Solar Space is picking up all of those eliminations. By the way, he did sub in for Brady. Pyros taking down Omni there, and this is just such a back and forth. Boise State seems to be ahead on this one, though. Now just a few members of Sacramento State alive in this area. Boise State should have enough time to take this over if they're able to quickly get this elimination, but no.
They're letting
Diva's just playing with her.
Well, yeah, they're going to stall out the Diva, which is really important there because the spawn advantage is for the attacking team. So they wanted to make it so that for them to regroup as a full team, for it to be as long as possible so that their teammates could get back.
It is possible, though, with the way that this team is split, that, I mean, the Diva, obviously great for the aggression and for the engage, but if Psycho can get a good enough jump on them, I mean, the choice makes sense, and it makes even more sense now because we have all of these ultimates available. Solar Space is going to pop to Infrasight as Sacramento State members start draining into this point, and now Diva is immediately running after them.
Oh, wow, they're all bunched up here. And Winston is just going to tear that team apart with that Primal Rage. And Dare Saying actually goes off the edge, and Solar Space is going to get taken out by the opposing Winston. Mr. Psychofire also going down. Some kind of crazy Bupocalypse has gone through, and Boise State seems to have lost this fight, and probably this first point, unless they can regroup, because the entire time while they were winning that fight, they were not taking the point, which does give Boise State the option to try and hold for one last moment, but they're not going to take it.
And an unfortunate burn on that Transcendence there, just coming in a bit too late when Boise State was already down.
And not only that, but Pyros aggressing as hard as he did to get after the Zarya and to capitalize on those final eliminations ended up not working in their favor at all, because you're not going to get the damage down that you need to, even with the Primal Rage as the Zarya. Pyros, though, is doing some aggression. However, he is getting flanked from behind as this Diva sits behind him. He's going to have to escape, is getting enough healing from Mercy that he can stay in the game, and we might see a Pulse Bomb here from Dare Saying. who is still at full health, but they're going to have to find a little window to engage here as this payload is moving forward.
And there goes in the Winston Solar Base, going to take out that Zenyatta, and wow, Boise State going to turn this fight in their favor. They knew that they were down by 1, and now Boise State is just going to get just enough eliminations that they can back off and take the win. The Primal Rage coming through and going to boop the Zarya off the edge.
Nice.
Oh, ho, ho. Pyros. You're an animal, Winston, to quote Tracer.
I was going to say a moment or two too late on that Primal Rage, but it was specifically just to try to get the boop, and specifically on that Zarya, makes it a lot easier for Solar Space to do his job on that backline.
One of the things that we didn't mention is Solar Space subbed in for
I did
Brady,
have a second Brady. Yeah, Solar Space did sub in for Brady. Yeah, I have to. But
the
now
dive goes in.
Pyros is jumping up from above. They did not see him there, and only the D.Va sees him now. He's able to stay quite healthy, and that D.Va is going to dedicate herself to try to eliminate him. But he is just going to ignore her. Leap away, was not able to stay alive, and it looks like most of Boise State was eliminated there as the Winston was trying to just go towards that back line. So a great pick out from the opposing D.Va.
Yeah, that's right. They moved the Winston off their team by dropping the Transcendence and actually using it in an aggressive way once they knew that the Winston wasn't with his team to protect them. And normally the Winston would be there disrupting the team, not allowing them to go aggressive. But because of that Transcendence, they could just ignore him. He had to run away, and it was a disaster for Boise State. They lost that second point, which is a hard one to hold in the first place. Now Boise State setting up for this last point. This is a hard one to take on the offense. Winston's going to jump on top of Pyros and is actually absorbing stuff with the Zarya shield. Now Boise State's gone full dive, and now they're going to have to run away. Oh, the D.Va bomb!
3 ultimates from the opposing side going off there. Psycho is going to take out Solar Space with that Primal Rage, but Pyros is now moving in. Daresang throws the Pulse Bomb and takes out Garena. Psycho, however, takes down Daresang, no longer in the fight. Now Pyros is going to pop his Primal Rage in an attempt to get the boop off here, and it does not look like he is able to. Not a wasted ultimate there for sure, but he is too low to do anything. Now the Transcendence on the opposing side is going to mean Pyros is just in a state of defense at this point. They're saying doing as much damage as possible. Grey Girl is going to bring the other support back into this fight, but Sacramento State has taken the reins on this one, and now a rally comes out from Omi as Daresang takes a lot of damage, almost healed by that Mercy, but was taken down.
Boise State trying to stabilize, though. They might have the opportunity to. They have that Wrecking Ball rolling around, and now lots of people are going down. The May goes down, and oh man. Mr. Psychofire actually boosted off because he thought he was going to have teammates there to protect the payload, and didn't manage to stall any longer.
I want to bring up something that I noticed there in terms of two patterns I've noticed over the past few games is that in the very critical moment, in the decisive moment where this fight could decide the game, we've seen Sac State in both scenarios with 5 or more ultimates stacked up all ready to go. And that raises the question of ultimate management in the game. How much is too much? When are you using too many ultimates to take a fight versus too few? Such as we were talking about, did that Primal Rage come out maybe a little too late? Even though it was a great moment seeing it get knocked off.
Right, but 1 elimination versus potentially 2 or even 3 when he was engaging on them, you know, that's definitely a toss-up in the air, and it's difficult to determine, too, whether or not they're really utilizing it correctly, but we can tell that Sac State is using theirs correctly. They are managing theirs perfectly, and the charges on them are just so incredibly fast as well. It seems like they have almost 2 ultimates by the time Boise State is able to get their 1. And it seemed like a lot of the same problems from that Oasis map are transferring here. And so Boise State just needs to clean up a little bit. We're seeing a lot of Pyros trying to do some flanking, but it's flanking when his team is being engaged and aggressed on, and he really needs to be there to soak up more of the damage or take aggression, because he ends up getting wiped out by 1 D.Va while trying to deal damage to the entire team. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe if the gun. Maybe if it was, you know,
the Tesla cannon.
Thank you, the Tesla cannon. Maybe if it was a single target, the fact that it spreads is great, yes, but it also detriments you when you're going in on 5 members and can't deal enough damage to a single target to actually make a difference here.
And now the Boise State team is snaking around the far left-hand side. Boise State is in a position to aggress here. They're going to see if they can draw that Sacramento State team down onto the point. And now they're actually going after one of the flankers, that Tracer. Boise State has not made an aggressive, and actually, Daresang going to take out the Genji, but in response, Thunderhorn has gone down. And now Solar Space, another one. I think Solar Space might have won this fight single-handedly. There's a third, there's a fourth. Solar Space, you're insane! And talk about carrying the team. Solar Space finally goes down, but it's too little too late for the Sacramento team because if you're the last member taking down Solar Space, that's not enough. Solar Space has already eliminated the rest of your team.
And he probably could have gotten away there, but he was all right with going down because at that point, he'd essentially gotten the entire team to eliminate Sac State. A great move there and a great move putting Solar Space in because they know how solid of a Widowmaker he is. I could just watch him play Widow all day long.
It's like no matter how the match is going, you occasionally just get little bursts of dopamine to keep you feeling good if you got a good Widow playing for it.
Right.
And I was wondering what Boise State was doing playing so passively. They were waiting for the picks to come through from the Widowmaker, and then they got dived on and did a perfect counter dive in addition to having Solar Space just take out the entire team.
And having this pharma as well, this pharma composition, means that this Mercy can sit back and pay attention specifically to Solar Space, and they're saying Solar Space is taking quite a bit of damage, and Thunderhorn is going to go down, but Pyros and Daresang have something to say about them being eliminated. Solar Space, Daresang taking down another one, and Pyros and Solar Space are all over this map, all over the eliminations. The Valkyrie did go up there, but now we are able to hold on to an Infrasight, which is great for this team trying to re-engage as a full 5-man. It is going to be popped right now, and then a self-destruct available from Mr. Psychofire.
And I think that because of the infrared sight, the Sacramento team is just going to entirely forfeit this second point. It's a hard one to hold anyways, and they say, we don't want to go into that and feed any more ult charge. Oh, but it looks like they are going to try and take one last fight, and that's not going to be advantageous to them. They are going to drop 2 ultimates into it, and now it's 2-2. Boise State has been demexed, but Daresang has the advantage of height and an ultimate. I think Boise State might come out on head on this. They have taken down 2, and that is a little bit disastrous for the Sacramento State team. They lose the point. They still lost the point. They lost a lot of ultimates, and Boise State committed almost nothing to that.
Yes, and it might have been a better idea for Daresang to have used his ultimate at the initial engage in that fight because really nobody had spotted him out. He was getting some great shots, decided to hold on to it maybe, but was not able to get into a position where he would face multiple members and be able to hit them all with that. But the pressure is on now. Pyros is on fire, and we do still have those 2 ultimates available. So who knows? We might see Daresang just eliminate the entire team, and I'll be eating my words on him saving that barrage.
And Daresang actually going for a health pack instead of waiting for the Mercy to grab him. But now Pyros has actually gone in, taking out 2 with his Primal Rage. Boise State ultimates across the board. Bob came through, but Mr. Psychofire grabs 2. Solar Space is going to pick up the last one, and that's going to be a 1 round for Boise State with so much time on the clock, unless there's the Wrecking Ball. That's the kind of composition that you can see that will hold on to the point for just a bit longer. Maybe they can stabilize, but in comes the Rocket Barrage. Down goes Daresang, though, and oh my goodness, Boise State, they've lost the round, or this fight. I thought it was won. Turns out I was wrong.
It is so tough to get that final push when the spawn point is right there. Pyros is trying to be a little bit sneaky, but is so low on health he has to back out. 16-player kill streak here from Solar Space, so we are seeing double digits from pretty much everyone on Boise State, but now is the time for them to go down. Thunderhorn does have a Transcendence available, and we do have Valkyrie here too, so 2 support ultimates, but Boise State wants to be aggressive here because they need to push this payload the last couple of meters. They cannot go in 1 by 1 though. They need to maybe find a pick out or a good angle to aggress from, and Sacramento State knows that this is going on.
And because of that forced hero switching, they're actually holding an ultimate advantage. But my goodness, the base going to grab Thunderhorn. Nobody protects them. And that's going to be a terrible start to this fight. Boise State is going to try and back out, it seems, but can they make it out safely? Pyros is going to jump away, and I think the rest of the team has just kind of scattered, and that's not going to be exactly what Boise State was looking for. And Sacramento State really improvising well with this off-team composition. You don't normally want a Wrecking Ball at this point. You only want it at the very, very end.
Well, and it was the very, very end for them. So at this point now they're just sticking because it works, because Boise State really doesn't know how to respond to Giga. He's doing a great job of utilizing the mobility to get in just long enough to annoy Boise State and then out quickly enough to really not take any damage here. So it is now ticking down. Pyros is going to take so much damage. Does pop
no,
the
he can
Primal
turn it
Rage.
around if he doesn't get frozen for too long. He's got so much space to work with. Now he's going to back out. The Primal Rage barely saving his life. He lost nearly 1,500 health there. And now Pyros is turning around the damage onto the Sacramento State team, but he's very low. Boise State, what are they going to do here? Psycho is blocking all of the sniper shots with that shield. The Mr. Psycho Fire going to get D-Mech, is not going to drop the ultimate for the remech, and Boise State, the rest of the team, is going to go down.
And now we're in the same situation that we were in with the last 2 matches too. 4 whole ultimates ready for Sac State to use here.
And we saw Daresang hold on to that ultimate for so long. I'm almost positive that he could have gotten a secondary charge after using it, because it was 2 to 3 separate team fights that he tried to hold on just to get into a good position, but was obviously focused very heavily because he's a Pharah.
And now, are they going to go into the trap room? I don't think that they will. McCree can 1v1 that May, given the opportunity, if he plays it just perfectly, but the Diva Bomb not going to grab anyone. Boise State very happy with that pickup. Basically just pressure grab the ultimate without having to drop anything else into it. Daresang goes very low solar space as well. And here comes the Wrecking Ball, trying to just grab some damage, but no, Primal Rage goes in. Boise State is trying to make the Enrage. Oh, that wasn't the Primal Rage, my bad. But
the self-destruct does go out, and Mr. Psycho Fire is able to get back in the mech without picking up an elimination. Has to immediately engage here, and now they are pushing Wrecking Ball back. Mr. Psycho Fire has slid to the back line, but a wall goes up to prevent him to deal damage. The ultimate from May could be very dangerous here. Mr. Psycho Fire trying to escape, but Daresang and Pyros are actually going to take 2 while the aggression stays on that Diva. Barrage still available here. Solar Space has one, and Draygirl still has that Valkyrie. So some potential here, as well as Pyros at 99%. Some potential for one final push as 36 seconds are left on the clock here. Omi getting so low, and the Barrage is going to come out. That's more of what we wanted to see, a sneaky one. 2 members taken down, Solar Space and Daresang both taking one for themselves. The Deadeye does come out and does some damage, but does not take out an elimination. Pyros is able to clean some of this up, and now Solar Space is trying to deal as much flanking damage as he can. But this is where things get tricky, because they are now pushing this point back up to where they had it, again, right at the spawn point for Sac State.
And Sacramento State has that composition to roll out as quickly as they can with the Wrecking Ball, with the May. Lucio's going to drop the peak. Boise State has a lot of shields and health to go through if they're going to win this fight. And Daresang is already down. There is an ultimate. The Diva Bomb's going to grab one. Pyros turns 1 kill around. That's going to be down 2 to 1. And oh no, May's going to grab another. Pyros gets slammed by the Reinhardt, and now it's only Mr. Psycho Fire, and I don't think he's going to make it. That's a hard minefield to go through. Boise State is not going to turn it around. They were so close to going up 2 minutes, but Sacramento State made an incredible turnaround, stabilizing the point and holding for the rest of the round.
Yeah, they did have plenty of time on that, but they were able to hold it, and Pyros is going to pick up the play of the game here. Even though they did not get the W on this map, they are going to take the play of the game here, and Pyros deserves it, being on fire the majority of that. Looks like, wow, we had those almost 2 boops right there. So we know how much Boise State loves to boop, and in particular Pyros when using that Primal Rage. And I don't want to say again, we saw a little bit of what you were talking about, the ultimate mismanagement.
Right.
But it seemed to be a factor that led to the team's demise multiple times.
Well, might I point out what I think, we just saw the play of the game, what I think would be a good nomination for the anti-play of the game would be the moment when Boise State is about to make that final push. They've got 2 ultimates in their pocket. I'm on the edge of my seat, leaning ready. We're seeing it from Thunderhorn's perspective. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see a little blue stream, only to turn around and see the icy glare of death right in my face. And
prevented multiple ultimates at that point. And the barrage as well, because we kind of saw that engage with the Pharah from up top, held onto the barrage as the Wrecking Ball was coming out because she was dealing damage to one of the squishier members there, and then turned on 2 members of Sac State and used it there, but they were just too tanky to do anything. It might have been a better idea to actually use it at the beginning. Again, it seemed like they were they were doing a good job of holding on, trying to get to a position to use it, but they never ended up getting there. And after the first or second failure of being able to achieve a solid enough location to utilize it, you might as well just try to get whatever you can. Yes, 3-4 eliminations is the best, but if you can get one, it's better than dying before you can even use it.
And that is going to be Boise State down 2. I believe that we are still going to go to 4 maps. We're definitely at least going to a third one in Dorado.
Yeah, we generally do. It depends on the other team, but we always like to see, especially when...
Well, this is a show match that we've scheduled with them, and I think that they
they're
definitely want to go for at least one more.
Yes, they should be willing, especially with how well they're doing against this Boise State team, but we already see the adaptability occurring from the team as well. The first round, or the first map, went a lot worse for Boise State than the second one did. Oasis, I mean, that was probably one of the quickest Oasis stages we've ever seen.
I'm going to pose a question to you two. We were complaining in the first couple of matches about the McCree, and so the McCree goes away, but now we've got a May to deal with. In your mind, out of those two, which would you rather have tried to deal with?
In my mind, when it gets to that point in the game, the May is devastating. If it was a May earlier on, I wouldn't be as concerned about her because they would know what they're going into. The problem with that May was they weren't expecting the change. We should have considered it because that and Wrecking Ball are two of the primary ones to get just CC and movement down. But yeah, May at that point, it's brutal. There's really not much you can do, especially when she's able to get her ultimate charge so quickly. And in a scenario like that where you have essentially 6v6s constantly, she's going to be able to freeze most of your team.
And one of the things that they did pick up to counter that was the McCree. The McCree was the switch from Solar Space off of the Widowmaker, which really did lose a lot of its value once the Reinhardt came out. A lot of that success on Solar Space's Widowmaker is attributed to them having a Winston rather than a Reinhardt, because Winston's shield really doesn't cover the team like a Reinhardt does. And I thought that Solar Space did a good job of identifying there's a May on the other team and a Reinhardt. I shouldn't be Widowmaker, I should be McCree, because McCree with that right click recently upgraded.
Yes.
It's pretty devastating. And that's also a way that you can deal with the Wrecking Ball that came out. And I thought that that was a good look to kind of turn around and say, no, we don't do the Widowmaker into this composition. This is a McCree moment.
Yes, and the mobility is always nice too on the Widowmaker, plus on that map in particular, having the infra sight as often as they do with Solar Space because he gets so many headshots. It does mean that it makes it a little bit easier for Boise State to capitalize as a 6-man team, but we have moved on. We will see Boise State did very, very well on this last one. They already are keeping the pressure on directly at the start of this payload. But we do have a Reinhardt from Sac State sitting on there. And Omi again picking up this Ashe, who did a great job on her before.
Pyros is going to go onto them, but no, he's going to jump to safety. And oh my goodness, down goes Solar Space, rezzed immediately by Grey Girl though. And that's going to be a turnaround. But now Pyros has gone down. Now Dare saying Boise State having a rough time with this initial hold, and they're probably going to have to rotate off this top section pretty quickly here. And they do make the rotation in time, and I believe that they're going to make it out of the market. But now they have to wait for these two people to come in, join the team. Down goes Thunderhorn, down goes Dre Girl. They've got no healers left over, and now I think Boise State just needs to regroup for a final push. But no, Solar Space turns around and gets one on the healer, but the D-Mech comes through, and now down goes Pyros. Boise State having a hard time with this first point. They're going to have to see what they can do to regroup for the second one, and Dare saying he's going to get chased down, but no, Dre Girl's there to pick him up, and there isn't enough long range to take down this far. Oh, it's Solar Space, and Dare saying takedown 2. And
that was a thread the needle right behind that column as she was boosting forward. Great shot there, but they need to do exactly what you said. Step back, take a moment, reconvene as a team. We saw Pyros jump in there. You know, he had one or two behind him, but it was pretty much the entirety of Sacramento State. So not a great play. I'm not sure what he thought he would accomplish. He's just going down way too quickly here. Omi again getting some incredible shots, focusing Solar Space very quickly. Pyros is going to be able to take out the Genji, and Mr. Psycho Fire takes the opposing Diva out of her mech. But we'll see if they can actually capitalize on the elimination. A barrage is available, but Dare saying does not need it because the primary weapon is all he needs here. Holding on to it, now being jumped on by the Winston, but Pyros is following up with that Primal Rage. not really able to do anything with it, but he was a scary 8 there for a little while.
And now that Winston on the other side is taking down Solar Space, and nobody was there to protect him. Daresang still has that ultimate available, but like you said, he just kind of doesn't need it for the kills. He wants a little bit more precision.
This is the one time where it has been perfectly okay for Daresang to be holding onto this ultimate as long as he has, because he's just been able to pick
already
them
taken
all
one
out.
down at the beginning of the fight.
And it was Omi who's been focusing him, so Solar Space noticed that needed to be utilized.
And
the
Daresang
barrage
takes down
comes
2.
out. That's going to put him on a 5-player kill streak and give him some fire as Daresang takes out 2 more members. Psycho goes down, Not a Boy goes down, Daresang at full health here, and that is not all. He has even more to follow it up with as they are chasing down this final member, and he is going to take the final elimination. Got 5 out of 6 members of Sacramento State there. Oh man, that ought to be play of the game.
And that's why he saves that ultimate. Oh, he didn't catch the ledge. That's fine. Farah's pretty good at getting up onto ledges.
Yes, she is. She's actually got an ability for that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we'll see what response Sacramento State has to that. Obviously, Daresang going to be a high target for them.
And Notabot taking a lot of damage and goes for the Genji Blade, takes down Solar Space. Boise State can't respond. Mr. Psychofire dropping the mech, but actually gets destroyed while he's Mini Diva. And now Boise State has a long way to go if they're going to turn this fight around. Daresang and Dre Girl taking to the skies, but that's not going to be enough. And now, chase down. I don't think Daresang's going to make it out. Chose to go into the building and couldn't quite make that work for him.
Daresang had that last fight for us, but the opposing Genji, Not a Bot, definitely had a response to it as he was able to take out 2 with the Dragon Blade and then 1 or 2 following it up, just getting in Boise State's base. So has that forced them to back away, and now they're going to jump on him as he tries to get into an aggressive spot. Pyros has Primal Rage available. The self-destruct is coming out from Fantastic. Does not pick anyone up, but the sleep dart goes out on Pyros, who is getting low. It does get hacked there, and now has to jump out. Bob eliminates 2 members of Boise State, and then Omi has a 3rd to take. So Omi on the Ashe and the McCree, that is a force to be reckoned with.
And now Boise State is turning things around. They have to regroup, and they're being pushed right at the edge of their spawn. It's hard to get out of this place, but the cart is pretty far behind that Sacramento State team, so Boise State has time to work with. And Daresang going incredibly low, but not going to get taken out as Dre Girl is right there to pocket the Mercy. And now, in the air, doing damage, has the ultimate available, chooses not to use it on this Ana. Oh no, Daresang, get him! There it goes. Finally going down. The Reinhardt actually got there just in time, but now the rest of Boise State has taken a lot of damage, and Dre Girl's going to get the Resurrect onto the Lucia, but loses her own life in response, and Daresang is having a real rough time grabbing these rockets.
So hard to hit that Genji, but he's just too quick, and after a few misses, he got to swap over. Was eliminated there by the Dragon Blade from Not a Bot, who picks up 2 more members, 1 with his dash, 1 with his ultimate. Mr. Psychofire does have 1 available, but gets popped out of the mech before any available usage on that one.
Oh.
Not a Bot and Omi just decimating Boise State. Pyros now being forced onto the Wrecking Ball to get some mobility, but he's being burned down so quickly already.
He already dropped Omi, though.
Already dropped Omi. He was able to get the 1 before he was taken out, but is it going to be enough for Boise State to move in? No is the answer there from Sac State as the Resurrection gets denied.
Oh, this Genji. I mean,
So
all that time we saw just dodging all those missiles. We take our face away for one moment, and then here comes a Dragon Blade right up in our faces.
I did not even see him because Farah was still in the air when she actually died to the Dragon Blade, so he must have dashed up to grab her. There are some scary players on this opposing team, that's for sure. Boise State is starting to get their footing on how to play against them or how to counter their play, but it's just a little too aggressive for Boise State to have enough time to recognize.
And the anticipation building for this next show-off. And do you know why there's anticipation? Because we cannot see the team compositions. I have been reliably informed by a great source that this is part of the, that there's a good reason for that, and that while we have full broadcasting rights over these matches, we do not show the team compositions in these intros so that neither team can react and try to make last-minute switches due to the other team's composition.
Well, and plus now we have a beautiful full screen
I
of
know.
the fly-through. get to really appreciate these maps because Blizzard does put quite a bit into them.
I love just looking in like the background, the parts of the map that you like can't even go to, just the skybox. You look around, you're like, oh, there's boats over there.
And that's why Paul dives as much as he does in Overwatch.
I'm sightseeing.
Paul's sitting around watching the waves crash.
This is World Tour Simulator for me.
I mean, hey, all of us have dealt with an annoying tourist who just gets in our way, so this is a bit of catharsis for that.
Look at the hills with the houses and stuff. The big pyramid that you go into at the end.
I'm getting a stare down. All right, we're good. The stare down was just, because that's what Raven does.
And now the Boise State team taking that payload. They do not know where the Sacramento State team is. Sacramento State is holding on that regular spot, and they're just going to hold right up in that high ground. Boise State is just going to try and push past that and under the bridge. And Pyro's actually jumping up. They're trying to put some pressure on them up there. And Boise State, actually Omi's going to take down Tumberhorn, and Solar Space is going to get a return onto the Zenyatta of the other team. Drago gets the resurrect. Katarina going to take down Daresang as the Lucio. That's a rough one for Daresang. It's hard to get the Tracer as a Lucio. And now Pyros goes down. I think that Boise State, they got a good push, but didn't quite make it work.
So it looks like there's a little swap between Omi and Solar Space there. Solar Space picking up the Ashe, but not being able to utilize it as well. She is going to stick with it because Bob will be incredibly helpful here in just a little bit. Oh, no, actually, they are going to swap over, Zarya being a good choice there, and Daresang is going to jump onto the Brigitte as well. So quite a bit of a swap up, actually. We've got Draygirl as well moving over to the Moira, so a little bit more mobility and some in-your-face aggression as well.
Even though our strategy improves, my soul dies every time you switch off Ashe and you don't get to see Bob.
And there goes most of Boise State's team. They lost a lot there in that fight, and it's only Draygirl left on the Moira, who will also be taken out. And that was a rough fight for Boise State there.
Rarely do you see all 6 X's up on a single team because of, generally it's at least a little bit of a staggered death there. That was not the case. Sacramento State definitely eliminating the entire team there at once. It is going to give them a chance to move in at the same time. But, I mean, Boise State had 3 seconds before they were taken down there, and Pyro's already being hit from this Junkrat.
That Junkrat is hard to deal with. They've got a Reinhardt and everything. But Pyro's actually, speaking of the Junkrat's, going to take down Notabot. And but there's a nano-boosted one on the other side. And the McCree ultimate comes through, takes down Solar Space. And Boise State's going to have to retreat once more. Draygirl's probably not going to make it out of this one. Oh, there's the McCree. Draygirl, the outplay Draygirl! You're insane! That was crazy! Now Boise State's going to start this fight up by 1. She shifted but didn't go down. McCree expected her to try and escape. She didn't and instead took the kill. That was incredible play by Draygirl. And now Boise State going to have a good fight here. What will they do? They've got the Reinhardt ultimate. And there is another Reinhardt shield in his way, though. What will they do? Boise State having a hard time at the beginning of this fight. The Pirates go so low. But Draygirl going to drop that ultimate. Now there's ultimates left, right, and center. That was not a terrible, but it was a bad grab. It was on the cart. And now Pyros actually misses his ultimate as well. But Mr. Psycho Fire, 1 finally lands. And down goes 2, but Junkrat's back in the fight, taking down 1. But now Mr. Psycho Fire has gone wild, taking down another. And I think Boise State has finally cracked this impenetrable defense from the Sacramento State team.
Mr. Psycho Fire definitely getting a lot of props in that fight. We actually saw before the entire engage, Mr. Psycho Fire was knocked out of the mech and being played with for probably a minute to 2, but now we have got a fierce engage from Sacramento State. Multiple eliminations coming out, but Solar Space has one available, is going to throw out the Graviton before dying. And Giga goes down there to Pyros, who has to now turn around, sit on this point, and just
3-man junk rattle.
Just takes a great riptire to the face there, along with 2 other members of Boise State. So another solid team elimination there from Sac State. Now Boise State again being forced to just rush forward to this point to try to hold off Sac State as long as possible. Unable to wow, the wipes, the team wipes. I was talking about before It was such a good strategy by Sac State as well, and Boise State didn't really have a chance to jump on it. The Diva was popped out of the mech after the entirety of Boise State was eliminated. I don't even want to see this. after Boise State was
It's such a rough choke point to try and go through against a Junkrat.
It's just like the first match. It's the clown car situation. Everyone just piles in, and it's not pretty.
So the Diva being popped out of the mech, she was put to sleep. I figured when she woke up, she would be eliminated. We had focus on the Moira at the time, but no, they let her escape, didn't do any damage, basically waited until she was this close to getting her mech back again, put her to sleep, and then waited until she was awake to eliminate her instantly. And the problem with that was, by the time she actually went down, the rest of Boise State, who had been eliminated previously, were all engaging. So she did have just enough time to catch up before a full engage, but they could have aggressed a lot earlier had somebody gone and tried to help her out, or had she been able to maybe jump off an edge or somehow get herself out of that. So some really good strategies there by Sac State.
And I just can't help but highlight that play by Drake Girl. It was crazy because it was the mind games. Moira's effectively invisible when she uses her shift. And so what the McCree was expecting her to do was shift and try and go down the hallway. And instead she just stayed up top and then dropped down as the McCree came up and just threw a ball. It was great.
And she does quite a bit of damage, too. I mean, Moira has a lot of utility because she has the mobility, she has the damage and the healing. I mean, she's all around a great champion. Maybe not the strongest ultimate, but when it comes to a narrow hallway, it is quite phenomenal, and we're seeing some really good play and a lot of, I want to say, like, a lot of versatility, malleability to this team. We're seeing a lot of swaps, and these players are working well with different heroes, but that is definitely the same case for Sac State.
I got to commend Paul here for using a great form of a new experimental Canadian broadcast style when he said, oh, that's a terrible, I don't mean a terrible play, but, you know, we're just doing what we can.
Well, it was so the Graviton Surge went right in the middle of the cart, and it actually split up the Boise State team where they couldn't get all damaged at once, and the entirety of Boise State made it out because they had, I think, like, it somehow grabbed them behind the cart or something. I don't know what happened exactly, but like the Boise State team took almost no damage from that Graviton, and then Pyros followed it up with an Earth Shatter that didn't really hit anyone else because there's a Reinhardt in the way, and then finally Mr. Psycho fires ult because it was just ults going back and forth and back and forth. And that was the one that actually started the fight off and started eliminating players. Here we can actually see some of the players from the Sacramento State side.
There they are. Yeah, Fantastic is doing just that, a fantastic job. Stinger, the Stingers here from Sac State. Omi, who I believe is the captain of the team. Psycho, Giga, Karina, and Not a Bot, who we saw with some pretty incredible Genji plays there. Their Assassin game is on point for sure. And we're going to figure out here now if we are going to be doing the fourth map. For all
I think we are.
We are? Okay. For all we know, Sac State is on a bit of a time crunch, but we're going to find out right. Yes, we are. We are going to do that, and we are definitely going to have an interview as well with some of these players, so already start lining up some questions that you might want to ask some of these awesome Boise State Orange varsity players.
That's right. Tell us in Twitch chat who you want to talk to from that Boise State side. I don't think that roster was entirely current. I don't think that D'Angelo is on the stage today. Instead, we have Thunderhorn. Unless D'Angelo subbed in. No, she's not.
I didn't see the Boise State roster up there.
It came up for just a second. I think it was almost all of the right players, but not D'Angelo.
You guys can see in the game.
I think D'Angelo's moved to the black team, but I'm not entirely sure.
We have not seen her play yet, so I would assume so. If she's still part of the program, yes, she will be black, and that makes sense because that gives a very solid healer in each team. Now, orange, black, and blue each have such a great support system.
But now we're moving into Volskaya.
Yeah, starting in Oasis, ending in Volskaya. a nice thematic thing. And also something I should point out, it's always great to see well-rounded map selections, too. Starting with Control and Oasis, then moving on to Hybrid, then we get Escort, and now we get 2 CP.
Two capture point. Assault,
yeah, okay.
You call it Assault. Assault and 2 CP is interchangeable in the Overwatch community.
Yes. Alrighty, so we will see how this works for Boise State. Again, the more they play, the more rounds that go on, the better their play style and just the way that they work together. That's the biggest thing. We always come back to communication with this game and really any game that involves teamwork. That's been a point to both work on and a point that helps with the victories. So being a new team, I think they're doing a pretty solid job here. And thanks to Sac State as well for staying and playing this 4th match with us.
Yeah, really.
If Boise State wins this final one, I'm gonna give some credit to the atmosphere here too, because we've had 3 maps in hotter climates and then 1 in the colder one, and so maybe that home, maybe the Boise team feels more at home
on the winter maps. Oh, but we've actually already jumped into the game, and Pyros has already gone down. That is such an aggressive team. Solar Space going to pick up a return kill onto the Reinhardt. That's both main tanks down, but now Mr. Psychofire is going to go down to not a bot. And Brady's doing what he can, but is dived on by a Diva and nearly makes the turnaround. Draco's going to go off the edge, and I think that's just trying to reset for that second point. The Sacramento assault has really opened up very quickly.
And not a bot again showing some prowess now, this time not on a Genji, but on a Zenyatta, who most don't call an assassin, but certainly can be, as we have seen. No real swap ups. Actually, it looks like Brady is back in the game, as well as Solar Space. So if I take a quick look here, try to see who has been removed.
I think Thunderhorn has.
There you go. Thunderhorn has it, which makes sense as to why Brady is on a Zenyatta and immediately being eliminated. Omi and Fantastic. And again, already not a bot is going to take the mech away from this Diva. The opposing Diva taking down Solar Space. Not a single member of Boise State safe right now.
And now the Darasang is going to try and take what he can, trying to stay alive and trying to hold this point. They've got barely a tick. Every player has to run directly to the point. And that's the trickling that you don't want to do, but you just have to at the end of these. But there is that Tracer dealing so much damage to the Reinhardt, and they've actually pushed them off the point, which is incredible, and they've entirely reset. But now there's a Graviton Surge that goes through. They're going to try and eliminate the entirety of Boise State. Darasang's done such a good job of hovering by the point, but just as I say that, jumps off the point for just long enough for Sacramento State to finish off the point.
I mean, not that staying on the point would have not led to that Farah's demise, because no matter what, she was not in a good situation there. We are going to be swapping sides, but I'm not sure if Boise State can move as quickly as Sac State just did.
I was thinking, well, it's our turn now, so
it's so hard to play against as a Narissa, that Lucio Reinhardt combination. You saw, because once you've walked through Arissa's shield, she's lost the entire value of it. And you saw the Orisa shield go down, and Sacramento State, I don't think, stopped once. They just went to the choke point, immediately boosted they put on the speed boost, pump it up, and just ran straight through it. The Reinhardt was just whacking away, and down went Pyros. They did get some return kills with Solar Space on the Widowmaker, getting some semblance of stabilization, but they just couldn't really make it work. And then immediately afterwards, they had the ultimate advantage and rolled through the second point with that.
And even with that Widowmaker, once they are able to find out where she is, I mean, unless she's hopping all around the map, which she has the potential to do, but that's not what you want to do with the Widowmaker. You want to get those headshots down. So they're doing a great job of spotting her out and sending a scout to go either push her away from her location or get her out of there and just eliminate her for good. So we will see now how things end up going. I love those giant battle mechs in the background.
I think one of them actually does the robot if you look at them long enough. But we will not look at them long enough because there's more important things to watch.
Is this experience talking, Paul?
Maybe.
Right.
Where are you, Paul?
Paul can give us all the info on the environmentals of the Blizzard maps.
There's
here.
a lot of cool stuff.
I'm just imagining Paul off to the side while his team's trying to win. I'm waiting for this guy to do the robot here.
Just give me a second. So we can see Boise State pushing it there through the right-hand side, and Sacramento State seeing them the entire time. Pyros finally getting a good shield that doesn't go down immediately, and now they have the mobility as well from Brady on this Lucio. And again, this in-your-face composition for sure. The Zarya already goes down. That was instant. Brady is soon to follow. Not a bot again, doing a lot of damage as this Zenyatta. And they're already going to have to take a moment to reconvene because every single member of Sacramento State is at 100% health. They're going to engage on all of them. Oh my goodness.
The anti-nade.
Look at the amount of damage that is going across. Pyros immediately being melted. Mr. Psychofire, not only the mech, but also the baby Diva just getting destroyed here. So again, we're going to have to stop, hold up, be a little bit patient, even though it is difficult with only 2:45 on the clock. and really take a moment to find out where to engage on this team.
And Boise State chooses to stay with this team rather than maybe switch to a dive composition for that Bastion. They don't have a Symmetra to boost Bastion around. And Pyros is chasing down the Bastion now. He has not set up yet, but you can bet that he's right outside that door, dealing tons of damage. But the D-Mech goes through. Boise State has a big advantage here. Are they going to find the Bastion? That is the question. The Orisa's trying to protect. And in goes the charge. He grabs the Bastion. That's going to be the fight. Probably Pyros is going to take a lot of damage. The remet comes through, but no, Boise State kills are going across the board. And oh no, the Tag Visor picks up Mr. Psycho Fire, and Pyros goes down too. And Draygirl doing what she can with her right click. Solar Space D-Mex the Diva, but that's not going to be the entirety of the take. They do have a lot of ultimate advantage coming after that, and Draygirl's going to be stalled a little bit. Oh, but no, the Lucio's back in. They stalled too long, and now she's got the opportunity. Oh, nearly taking down that, well, turned around by the soldier, and now Brady's trying to boost everybody in. No, they realize that they're trying to stall, they're trying to force the trickle in, and they stop the bleeding, move away. And something scary, there's a Bastion with an ultimate.
Well, there are a lot of ultimates on both sides. We can actually see Fantastic bringing the net back in. And a Transcendence on Sac State can definitely mean that Boise State's ultimates might go to waste. The timing on that will definitely be pivotal for Sac State. In the next engagement, Pyros is getting hit from behind. He needs to turn around. Yes, he is being healed. There was a lot of damage coming from that Diva back there. And now they've kind of pinched some of these members of Sacramento State up on top of the balcony. They are not able to go follow after them because of the amount of damage they're taking from this doorway. But Darzang is going to engage as a Diva mech goes off right up above the center of this checkpoint. Another ultimate coming now from the Bastion, and Attack Visor as well from Omi. All of these ultimates being used one after another and each picking up multiple eliminations.
And that was a very strong fight on Sacramento's side. But Boise State, I think they knew what they were doing. They didn't drop a single ultimate into it, and now they've got 5 to work with. But are they going to drop all of it into this next fight? That's the question. There is something very scary, which could be the nano-boosted Bastion on the other side.
Oh, goodness. We have not seen that, and we don't want to.
Solar Space a little bit behind the team. There goes, we can see, oh, there goes the, oh no, the Graviton didn't catch anybody. But Boise State still has more to work with. In goes the Deck Bomb. Right behind that, shield grabs 2, and the Supercharger. Now the Coalescence is going through, healing and damaging at the same time. And I don't think that can be turned around. But I've been wrong before.
Yeah, don't speak too soon. We definitely know that you have jinxed it in the past. But yes, it looks like now Boise State has been able to keep just a few on the point, send a few down to chase off the members of Sacramento State so that we can potentially take this point. And that will be very helpful because we are already into overtime, 2/3 down. And with the amount of players up, it looks like they are going to just forfeit this one and sit back. Oh no, actually, they're sending the Wrecking Ball in to contest it at the very last second. And he is able to contest it. Not for long, though. There we go. The rest of the members of Sac State, I can imagine, have sat back. I'm not really sure what they were trying to accomplish there.
I think they actually want to have that Wrecking Ball, and I think he was just grabbing Ult Charge. Actually, that was, yeah. I think they do want to have the Wrecking Ball for this last point, but it was still just a questionable thing to do.
He made it out
oh my
right.
goodness, Boise State's already started on the fight, taking out the Lucio. Now they're dealing damage back and forth, and Sky actually going to grab the Lucio on Boise State's side. No Lucio on either side to work with. Boise State mixed up. There goes the Diva Bond. But no, they're going to grab the Mini Diva on the flip side. Psycho is going to grab Solar Space, and the Mini Diva goes down on Boise State's side. It looks like the Sacramento State team has stabilized.
Boise State did get their extra 3.5 minutes, though, so that has got to feel good. Draygirl is on fire, and that feels good, too. We see a Wrecking Ball rolling through, just blast past these members, so obviously went all the way to their spawn point. I guess maybe just to kind of scout it out. Again, there's a lot of movement going on from this Wrecking Ball, who is able to use the ultimate. We have an Earth Shatter available from Psycho. So we'll see how Boise State engages here. Stuns going down onto Pyros. A Barrage taking down 2 members, 3 members, and a mech. And then Psycho is able to pick up 2. So that all those eliminations go over to Not a Boy and Psycho. And Boise State now is not looking great when it comes to the 6v6 engage.
Yeah, and I don't think I even saw the Wrecking Ball in that fight. I think he was still hiding near the spawn.
Yeah, and he used the ultimate. I mean, he was back beyond. I'm not really sure what the idea. I really don't know what's going on with this Wrecking Ball. We'll trust Giga because he is the highest ranking player. He is at 4088 last time I checked, so in the 4000s. I mean, just a great player overall.
Pyros is going to jump in a little bit. Boise State doesn't have a good answer to that Pharah.
Dealing some damage to Giga. But they're having to sit back. Even Pyros as the tank instantly getting eliminated by one shot there from Notabot. Some great helixes as well from Ami here we are seeing and getting up an elimination. Solar Space at 7 health does get taken down by Omi, who is just devastating on this Soldier 76. Not only with the ultimates, the helixes, basically every aspect of him is working well for Sac State on this map.
And now Boise State's been pushed back to the original capture point by this Sacramento team. This is looking a little bit rough. Boise State actually going to take out the Pharah with Solar Space on that Ashe. They do have an answer, but it's only one. Sometimes you need more than just one thing to counter the Pharah. But Boise State believes in Solar Space, and I don't blame them because Solar Space has a lot of good work on those a pedigree, not a pedigree. He has a history on those hit scan weapons.
Yes, and the nice thing about Ashe as well is, you know, both long range and short range makes her very effective pretty much anywhere, especially if she can get a vantage point. Lots of healing going down on Mr. Psycho Fire so that he can potentially get into a position to use that ultimate, but does end up backing out as a barrage comes from the opposing Pharah. Wrecking Ball is now making his way into the fight. It is a back and forth. Brady and Solar Space both picking one up, but also going down in the fray as Omi takes one. And looks like Fantastic now is going to eliminate the tanks here for Boise State. So much back and forth going between there. Now Boise State is going to try to get the reset.
And the trouble for Boise State there was that Dre Girl got taken out just by the tail end of that rocket barrage. And not having a healer at the start of your fight is a rough fight to play.
Definitely rough, but Bob is now going to be available. A Pulse Bomb 2, and we know Daresang can get a great flank in. Not able to throw out the ultimate. The Tactical Visor is going to take out Solar Space, and that is going to be that as Sacramento State once again takes that one. So not a single win by Boise State when it comes to any rounds, but still some great play that we are seeing, and a lot of improvement for sure from last time. But man, this Sacramento State team is they're really good.
I mean, it took 5 ultimates to get the first point.
Yes, it did. And it was a solid push. They even had the potential to maybe come in if they had swapped over. But they decided to give that point, aside from the Wrecking Ball, of course, who was really, I mean, he was like a hamster in a ball throughout that entire map. I have no idea what he was doing, but he was bouncing off of all of the walls. He was going behind almost to flank, and then instead just dashed through everyone back to his team. Either way, it worked.
Hammond's a hard one to stop. He can get almost everywhere really fast.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like he really had a purpose for the team aside from, you know, getting the mobility and then just being a difficult hero to cut down. But they were able to make whatever they wanted work. Again, huge. I mean, I like to point out, you know, great players on the opposing team, but they were also good. Giga, who just played all around well. Psycho, an incredible tank there, and Fantastic, actually, doing a great job. Really everyone showing up. Same for Boise State.
Be sure to send in your questions because we are going to be coming back very shortly with a post-game press conference and with Pyros and Solar Space too. So
that's Pyros with an E. He is Pyros also without an E. So we might see some swaps in the names, but anything you see that looks similar to Pyros is going to be the Pyros. So definitely keep an eye on that. Other than that, I liked how they had, you know, we had a sub in. They did. There was, you know, a lot of switching, and you could tell it was a practice game. That's what both teams wanted out of it, to learn and educate themselves, and that's exactly what what they got, I think.
Quickly, Paul, what was the favorite thing you noticed on the far corner of any of the maps?
On the far corner of any of the maps? Oh, man. Oh, which maps did we play on? We played on Nimbani. Nimbani has a nice just background of the savannah.
Okay. The savannah. There you go.
Savannah. That's a pretty obvious one there,
That's
right?
a great vague answer. What specific thing did you notice? The whole savannah.
If you look real closely, you see that the buildings in the background actually repeat. They just took the same one and put them in different spots.
We'll be back soon.
Boise State Esports is proudly supported by Game Pants, esports arenas and equipment. Omen by HP. And Archon Clothing.
Welcome back. I've got Paul here and then Pyros and Solar Space here, ready for some questions that we have. So you two ready?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, then let's get to it. We're going to be going on with the first question I see here. What are you going to be focusing on in the upcoming week after the loss tonight?
You know what? We have a little bit scattered schedules, so we're going to work together as much as we can. It really comes down to learning how each other play and when to get aggressive and how we can play around in an effective manner. Because coming from a brand new team, it's hard to understand people's different play styles. We're just going to continue to improve on that through practice during off time and even on Fridays.
All right, what did Sacramento State do well, and what are you going to do to kind of implement that into the next week? That's for both of you guys.
Their Ash was insane. She kind of shut me down on my Widow, and that's kind of where I thrive. So it was hard to adjust to that, especially since I didn't get to warm up today. So I think they had really good team play around that Ash, and their Pharah at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That Ash was hard to dive. As Monkey, I usually don't dive against an Ash, or at least a good one. And whenever I would dive, she would hit me away, and then their team would just have so much damage that they could get on us without us even being close enough to do anything to them.
And you can take the next one.
Right. The next question we have here, do you think there was a lack of communication between your tanks and the backline during those matches?
Sometimes. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the problems that we're still working out as a team, right? Learning where our supports need to be and where our tanks can actually move to, that they're still in range of the supports. That's a big struggle on the dive composition that we're still working out.
Mm-hmm. What composition do you guys feel that your team plays best in? Is it the standard Reinhardt composition, the goats, the dive? Where is that? Like, what are you really comfortable with?
I think dive right now is our best. Yeah. Dive Widow, maybe with a Pharah or a Tracer.
And were there any of the maps in the rotation this game that you felt were like your maps, the ones that you guys had really trained on, and some that you just hadn't trained on?
Yeah, definitely Volskaya was one of the ones that we hadn't really had much practice on as a team before. But Oasis, I thought that if the game had gone on, I think we could have turned that Oasis one around. It was very close fights each time. And I think just a bit more coordination, we could have easily won that.
Right. Well, we got up here what we have as the #1 play of the night here. So we see Solar Space taking out the Ash first, and then 2 from the Rocket Barrage. Another one of getting the Winston. Deersane really cleaning up on that Pharah.
And Deersane's one of the new members of the team. What's it like having him in the comms? What's he like?
He's pretty quiet right now. He's pretty new, but he's doing a really good job at listening to Matt's callouts and stuff, and I think we're synergizing pretty decently well. I think with practice, we can be really good.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he did come from that Heroes of the Storm team background, so he does have some experience doing the esports communications, but not quite in the same game.
Exactly.
Does not completely translate. That's not a one-to-one.
No, not at all. But he's still great. He's picking up things really quickly, and he really understands the flow of the game, which a lot of new players don't really understand that too much.
The next question can be probably something for all of us who play games either competitively. What do you do, like the team do, to regroup themselves after a loss, which might have been frustrating, just mentally speaking?
Yeah, oftentimes just taking a break, sitting down for a while. I know if I'm in a competitive game and I lose two, I'll take a break. I'll do something else. But getting back together with the people that you lost with and working to improve is one of those crucial things. It's not like, oh, I lost the game because Tanner didn't hit any shots. I'm not going to play with him anymore on ladder. No, I'll still go back and hit him up, and we'll work those things out.
Losing a game isn't the end of the world, believe it or not. I think I learn more in defeat than I do winning. Like, especially if it's like super easy, we just steamroll them. I feel like I get lazy. But when I'm trying so hard to win, and we're getting beat so bad, it can be frustrating. But we also learn a lot from those VODs and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all the questions I see on for tonight, so we want to thank you two for being with us to answer these questions. And there are still some questions left tonight to be answered because we've got Blue coming up next to play in an official TESMA match, so that's going to be fun. Will Blue turn the tide tonight? Will we see any great plays from Blue? And will Nerdy Bird get play of the game? Most important question of the night. All your questions and more as we come back shortly.